Top 10 Most Difficult Criminal Arrests Ever. The public is captivated by crime, whether it's because a prominent person is involved or because the specifics are exceptionally risque. We can even watch trials live on television and obtain an immediate analysis of the testimony and evidence being presented because of the development of 24-hour cable news and court TV. But interest in crime and legal proceedings is nothing new. Here are the top 10 criminal convictions in recorded history. Number 10. The detention and conviction of Bernie Madoff, 2008-2009. Bernie Madoff, a former investment tycoon who defrauded thousands of people, is currently serving a 150-year sentence in prison for his crimes. This case is now regarded as the largest investment scam in American history. In late 2008, his kids turned him into federal authorities, exposing the enormous Ponzi scheme. He cheated his clients, who ranged from celebrities to regular people, of approximately $20 billion in principal investments. To return billions to his victims, trustees have been working. Regarding the Madoff family, Bernie is said to have experienced health issues and incarcerated. Since his arrest, both of his kids have passed away, one from cancer and the other from suicide. Number 9. Eliza Smart's kidnapping, 2002-2003. When Elizabeth Smart, a 14-year-old girl, was abducted from her bedroom in the middle of the night, it sounded like a scene from a suspense film. However, as they urgently looked for the girl near Salt Lake City, it became all too real for the Smart family. Brian David Mitchell and his wife Wanda Barzee held Smart captive for 9 months before someone called to report a possible sighting of her. Only a few miles separated Smart from her house. Despite the abuse she endured, she became a successful novelist and young activist. Number 8. The murder and disappearance of Laci Peterson, 2002. The body of pregnant 26-year-old Laci Peterson and the fetus of her unborn child came ashore on a piece of the San Francisco Bay shoreline 4 months after she went missing on Christmas Eve 2002. Suspicions against Peterson's husband, Scott, grew in the weeks that followed her disappearance. He claimed Laci knew and was okay with it, but he was found to be having an affair with a massage therapist. A few days after their bodies were discovered, Scott was accused of murdering Laci and her unborn baby. Scott was found guilty and is currently on death row despite the defense's assertion that Laci was abducted and killed by a satanic cult. Number 7. Gianni Versace's murder, 1997. Gianni Versace, a founding member of the Versace fashion house and an Italian national, was assassinated in front of his Miami Beach residence in 1997. Andrew Cunanan, the shooter, has been on a nationwide murder rampage. The renowned fashion designer was his final prey. 8 days after killing Versace, 27-year-old Cunanan murdered himself. Versace, 50, was allegedly murdered by Cunanan to garner international attention. A month before her terrible passing, Britain's Princess Diana attended Versace's memorial service to offer her respects. Number 6. The killing of JonBenét Ramsey, 1996. JonBenét Ramsey was a young beauty pageant winner who was slain on Christmas Eve after going to bed. Her case has never been solved. The Ramsey family initially believed their 6-year-old daughter had been abducted while she was sleeping. On the morning of December 26, 1996, her mother Patsy claimed to have discovered a ransom note demanding $118,000 in exchange for JonBenét's release. However, her father, John, found her body later that day in the basement of their house in Boulder, Colorado. She had been struck, broken her skull, and strangled. Her parents were suspected of both the death and child abuse for more than 10 years. However, DNA testing revealed that the person who died was an unidentified male. The district attorney expressed regret and exonerated the Ramsey family in 2008. For Patsy, who passed away from ovarian cancer in 2006 at the age of 49, the apology came too late. No one has been accused of killing JonBenét as of yet. When John Mark Carr was apprehended in Thailand 10 years later, it was discovered that he had made a fake confession. Number 5. The capture and trial of O.J. Simpson, 1994-1995. O.J. Simpson's trial, a former NFL player, was one of the most viewed trials ever on television. Viewers listened to testimony intended to link him to the killings of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson, 34, and her friend Ron Goldman, 26, for 9 months. While the Simpsons' small children slept in their bedrooms, the two victims were stabbed to death in 1994 outside of Brown Simpson's condo. Simpson was questioned by police right away, and they eventually demanded his surrender. Instead, he jumped into his white Ford Bronco and gave police a 2-hour chase that was broadcast on television. O.J. Simpson's attempt to put on a glove found at the crime scene was the most dramatic turn in the trial of the century, which was noted for its many twists and turns, including fights between Simpson's several attorneys and the judge and a prosecutor. "If it doesn't fit, you must find him not guilty," his attorney Johnny Cochran instructed the jury. The verdict was announced to 150 million viewers on October 3, 1995. We the jury find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder. Simpson was sentenced to prison for a different crime, a Las Vegas robbery case, 13 years later. He was imprisoned for 9 years before being granted release by a judge in 2017. Number 4. The Menendez Brothers, 1989. Lyle and Eric Menendez murdered their affluent parents, but did they do it for the money, or were they motivated to kill by years of abuse? Due to the tie vote on the jury in their initial trial, both ideas were tested in courtrooms twice. The brothers, who were 21 and 18 at the time of the killings but are now in their late 40s, shot their parents to death in their Beverly Hills mansion. Jose received a direct shot to the back of the head from Kitty, who also fired 15 times. The brothers were initially not detained because they told authorities that it was probably a mafia assassination or a poor business deal. But as the brothers started using money from their parents' $14 million estate, suspicions grew in the weeks that followed. Both brothers were detained 7 months after the killings, and they were ultimately found guilty in 1995. Both brothers were married while they were in prison despite receiving life sentences, and they still keep in touch. Number 3. The Terrorist Path of Jeffrey Dahmer, 1978-1991. Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer who preyed on 17 men and boys over 13 years, starting in 1978. He tormented and dismembered his victims, frequently storing and occasionally eating their body parts at his Milwaukee home. After a man he had handcuffed in his flat managed to escape, Dahmer was finally apprehended. According to the investigation, Dahmer, a worker at a chocolate factory, lured men he met in bars to his house where he drugged and killed them. For the murders, he received 15 life sentences. However, the 34-year-old was beaten to death in 1994 while on a work detail after only approximately 2 years in jail. Number 2. Ted Bundy's Rampage, 2nd, 1974-1978. Ted Bundy, a serial killer, kidnapper, rapist, and prison escapee, preyed on women for several years in the middle to end of the 1970s. He acknowledged to at least 30 murders before being put to death in 1989, but police think there were likely many more. A few years after Bundy received his psychology degree from the University of Washington, the killings in the Pacific Northwest began. The separation from his undergraduate love, who frequently resembled the victims, tore him up. The serial killer entered prison in 1976, but he twice broke out while still inside, killing numerous more women. Finally apprehended on February 15, 1978. Number 1. Murders by Charles Manson, 1969. The Manson family cult murders in Los Angeles in August 1969 horrified the country. The most infamous was the horrible killings of Sharon Tate and 4 other people at her Benedict Canyon home while she was pregnant. Charles Manson, the founder of the cult, was given many life sentences and passed away in 2017 at the age of 83. For those 5 murders as well as 4 more, several of his supporters are still incarcerated for life. One of Manson's justifications for the murders included a reference to the Beatles song Helter Skelter, which he mistook for a call for a bloody race war. So, do you like this video? Give your answer in comments section below and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos.